and welcome to the second episode of the Bridging Viewpoints series. For this video, I am currently in Auckland, New Zealand. And for the second video, the flow is going to be very similar to the first video, other than the fact that I'm taking some learnings from the first video and I'm applying to the second video. So for example, I got a mic so that I no longer have noise from the wind or outside sources, hopefully. The second one is I got feedback that the video was way too long and that I needed to cut it down. So what I'm trying to do is break out 3 sections in 3 separate videos so that the viewer has more flexibility to choose what they want to watch. So for the first section, again, I'm going to talk about why I decided to come to Auckland, New Zealand, and what I learned here. So for me, an idea or concept that I was really curious about was quality of life, especially coming straight from Peru. And Auckland is actually ranked one of the top cities in the world. It's actually top 3 right now for this idea of quality of life. And this ranking was done by a global HR company called Immerse, and they send out a report every year on which cities, they essentially rank cities, and they have over 150 cities, I believe, in the world, and they rank it for quality of life. And the way that they create this metric is factoring in several categories, whether that is government stability, healthcare, welfare, education, safety, like several factors that are important for the community, and they create the ranking. So if you're interested in actually how they come up with this ranking, I can put a link in the website below, and you can do some research on your own. So to gather information for this idea of quality of life, what I tried to do was meet as many people as I could in my time here and just have conversations and hear stories. And I did that, but to be honest, I feel like I haven't really grasped the idea of quality of life yet. I'm still trying to form my own opinions on it. And 1 month here definitely was not long enough, and I think a good amount of time is not long enough. But even to form my first impression on it, 1 month was definitely not long enough. So what I'm going to share now is essentially what I've realized so far, my initial ideas on it, and hopefully in time I'll post an update once I start revising my opinions on it, because it's going to grow with time. So yeah, that's how I learned it. So let's go into what I learned. This was interesting. I mentioned my game plan was to talk to as many people as possible. So what I tried to do within the first week to week and a half was go to as many events as possible. So I used a website called meetup.com, which is a great way to meet locals if you're new to a city. It's pretty global. I haven't really used it in San Francisco, but since I'm new here, I wanted to at least meet people from here, and that was a good way to meet people, which actually led to a different place that opened the doors to a lot more opportunity, especially learning about quality of life. A place called New Space, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. The person who created New Space is actually the person I interviewed for the next section, which is the project perspective. So yeah, that's kind of how I gathered it. And after talking to a lot of different people, the main realization that I had is that this concept of quality of life is very comparative. And what I mean by that is you really need to be able to compare one lifestyle with another lifestyle in order to really gauge what is good or bad quality and what that range really is. So for example, like if you were born and raised in Auckland, New Zealand your entire life, then it's all you really know. And in terms of quality of life, it's all you really know. So it's really hard to gauge what was considered good quality or bad quality. All you know is that's what you had. That's what you're raised with. Same as if you were born and raised from South America, Peru, or North America, or even Asia, or anywhere else in the world, right? You really have to compare with something else in order to gauge what's good or bad quality. And that's kind of what Mercer also does. Is that it compares different cities. And I think this is a good thing. Because linking back to the previous video of globalization, this is actually what I believe to be a pro of globalization, which is essentially this ability to then compare and contrast so that we can define for ourselves what is considered good quality for everyone, for humanity, right? And hopefully one day with this comparative analysis, what we can potentially do is form a baseline for what we believe is the minimum quality all humans should have. I have my own perspective on this, but if we can all come up with this basic baseline of what quality life should be, so that everybody can be at that level, and anything on top of that is just better quality in a way. And I hope that that's where this concept eventually leads to. So in addition to that realization, what I learned from talking to a lot of people here was really interesting actually. Most people I talked with, they were like, yeah, like quality life is pretty good. That's all I really know. Like I had access to everything that I had, which is amazing. Like, quality life here in Auckland is definitely really great in terms of education and all those aspects I talked about. You can see it. So speaking to the people here, it's obvious that they don't think too much about it, and it's sort of, yeah, they've always kind of had this great quality in their lives. Interesting thing too is I did get some, of course with any city that it has huge growth, there's going to be differences in quality because of how fast the city is growing and the lag behind the growth. I did get that perspective as well. In an event that I went to, which was a free hugs and conversation event in the city where the goal was to sit in the middle of Auckland, the main central business district, and stop people for free hugs from their daily lives or just to have a random conversation with a stranger. And the idea here was to break people from their day-to-day routines to just connect with humanity, even if it's for a second, which I thought was amazing, and yeah, great idea. But I was there mainly for the conversation, so I could talk with locals and talk with people there and learn more about quality. And I met an awesome pair there who works for the Auckland Council, and they were actually the first people who gave me the perspective that the quality isn't where it needs to be. So from that conversation, I asked to meet up with them again and have a deeper discussion on it. And I actually met with them earlier today, to discuss that. And one of the interesting growth pains that they talked about, and it's a major issue in Auckland now, is housing. With such a huge growth and huge demand to want to live in Auckland from not just people in New Zealand, but also from outside countries, there has been a huge increase in demand for housing. And this has caused gentrification, meaning that housing prices increased at such a rate where people who are originally living here can no longer afford housing and are forced to move out of the central city, where all the opportunity really resides. And this gentrification is a factor. This gentrification is a consequence of many factors. One of them I mentioned was just a growth in demand. But another factor, which Auckland has recently they're recently working to fix and prevent, in a way, is non-resident purchasing. I believe that's what it's called. But the idea is essentially where people from outside of Auckland, from outside New Zealand, who are non-residents, purchase real estate within Auckland. And before like, I don't know when they actually passed the new law or policy. Before this, they had no restrictions against that. Other countries do have restrictions against non-resident purchasing because it affects the community. But Auckland didn't have this restriction, and the effect that this had was that rich, wealthy people from outside of Auckland, like Dubai or Asia, would want to invest in real estate within Auckland so that they can keep their money safe in some way. And when this happens, most of the time they raise the rent in those locations. And when that happens, it creates a rippling effect. One way that one of the people I spoke to described it to me was a chain, in a way, right? If you look at it from a chain, wealthy people purchase houses and homes from the top of the chain, right? Where it's potentially the most expensive, the nicest homes. And with this increase in demand and increase in rent in this area, prices for homes increase. Where people who were originally living there potentially cannot afford those homes anymore, have to jump to the next part of the chain, right? Where that part of the chain then has increased demand, and with increased demand, it results in increased prices, and people are then forced to the next chain, and it just creates this chain of events where at the end of this chain, people who were originally living in who were already struggling to pay rent and originally struggling to find a home are then forced out of their home because they can no longer afford rent, right? And this leads to either homelessness, which they've seen in Auckland, an increase in homelessness within the last decade. And the second thing, which is increase in demand for social housing. And one of the beautiful things that they do offer here is social housing, which is homes for people who are struggling to people who are struggling to find a place to live because of their economic standing can now find cheaper housing, in a way. But even in these scenarios, the demand for social housing has become so high that it's been difficult for the government to really keep up with that. So gentrification has really affected the community of Auckland so far. And in a way, it's another huge topic that maybe I'll address in another video, but just looking at it from straight up, what I can think of now, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It has pros and cons as well, where it's great that the community of Auckland and the city of Auckland is growing because of the economy and the growth, but it's sort of sad that the people who are being affected by it, negatively affected by it, are people who have lived here for generations, people who were born and raised here. They're the most affected by it, and how to make that process better or easier, I still have to think about. But that's another thing that I learned. Overall, quality life in Auckland is really great as an action. Enough talking about that topic. Maybe I can go into it, but if I have any additional thoughts, I'll post it in a second revision. But I would say that's the chunk of what I learned about quality life. So part of the video got cut off, so I'm going to continue from where I stopped, and that's the segue to the next section, which is the project perspective. And I'm really excited to share with you this next section because the person I interviewed here is awesome. The way that I met him was actually through the space, the Move space, that opened the doors to many other opportunities for me. What he's created is this amazing community of creative minds. It's essentially a workspace that holds a variety of different events where people can collaborate, they can bounce ideas off of each other, and it's just full of creators, which is amazing. I feel like there should be more of these around the world, these communities at least. And the project he talks about isn't necessarily this community, but I just wanted to talk about how amazing it was, because being new to a city was a great way for me to meet people. So yes, the project that he's going to go into is very interesting because he talks about what he believes and what I also believe to be a human truth in a way, something that all of us can relate to. And he talks about this concept of what are all the different things that we've wanted to say but never really said. And he plays on that idea with his projects. And yeah, I hope you enjoy.